Hey, this is Expert making another video, this time for version 2 of Execution Aid. There's a number of features here, so before I get into the UI and cover those, I thought I'd maybe go through some of the drills. Like for example, on Zas's website, he's on his blog, he's got some good ideas for drills to go through and try to, improve your execution of moves. And so I thought this tool could really help out with exactly that type of thing, as well as some more things. So okay, so let me just do a bunch of fireballs here. Let me set record on. Okay. Ooh, can't get them out. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna take off record. Go to save report. I'm gonna overwrite a file I've been working on here. Go to save. Okay, so when I open up that program, got it associated with Excel there. And move that down there. Um, okay, so the inputs are listed going down, and the input this column is the input ID. It's a number from 1 to 14, and I'll explain what those are later. But basically, there are 8 directionals, including the diagonals, as well as one for each button. And any one of those inputs can be on while another input is on as well. And there's overlap of each one. So there's a unique record of each input recording. You have the start time in milliseconds, then the end time. So when you start pressing it, that's what time gets recorded, and when you let it go, that's what time gets recorded as well. So you can do some calculation, maybe compare. Okay, I do 10 fireballs, and then you do 10 fireballs, and let's see, who has the quickest, the least amount of milliseconds in each input, or something like that. Um, this column here is the number of frames, so that's why it's called length, or frames, how many frames it was held down for. And this is the start frame, and that's going to be the end frame. Okay, so yeah, so I think a lot could be done with that kind of data in Excel or any other kind of spreadsheet like Calc. I've got to make up the templates and kind of determine what's important and what can be analyzed, and what's not as important. Okay, let me close that, and let's go back. Okay, now I can explain more of the UI of version 2. Okay, the first window is pretty much the same, just a couple of things. Namely that you can now configure your joystick with this. So if you have axis, select that. If you have POV hat, select that, and select save. If you don't know, try it. If you can see the yellow pieces, you're probably working fine. If you can't, then switch to the other one, whichever one is selected here. When you click save, okay, if one isn't already there in the directory, a button configuration file will be created. So you only have to do this once, and it will save your settings for your buttons, your joystick, as well as your hover options. There are 2 hover options. I'll get to the other one in a second. But that's pretty much the updates for the new stuff in the first window, the main window. So it's got the same. Okay. Now the main addition is going to be the score window. Now clicking this or the X in the score window is going to close the entire app. But this one also has its own hover option, just like the other hover option. And if you want to minimize one, you just turn on the hover option and bring another window to the forefront, like your emulator or whatnot. And okay, so let me cover some of the new features in the score window. Namely, the score window, it's called score because of like a musical score, basically along, you have kind of a grid here. Along the x-axis, if you will, if this were a graph, you have the time. So when I make an input, I can see it shoot across from left to right. Okay, so it's gonna go across. If I roll the stick in a 360 motion, it looks like that. Now, on the you have the inputs going down the y-axis, if you will, along the grid. You have the directionals color coded in this way. I hope that makes sense. So you have the left directionals in yellow, right in light blue, and the neutral mid directionals in orange. Okay. At the bottom, these are the buttons, starting with light punch going down to hard kick down here, and I hope that's clear enough. And if not, you can, it's easy enough to figure out. And for the options, again, we have a unique. This window has its own hover selection. You can also select lines, and this will give you more accurate to the frame count and visual of the inputs that are held down. So, for example, if I only tap it a little bit, it'll hold down for a little bit, and I can see that through the lines actually. And that's also something that can be recreated in a template. You can draw that up through like writing a simple program actually through a script, or maybe a little VBA or something. Probably don't even need to do that much to create it. But okay, let's see. So again, we have the record feature. When you select record, you're going to see a white circle here while it's recording, and so I'm going to turn that off. Okay, and then you won't see the white circle anymore. When after you have recorded something, you can save it out to a file. So turn off record, and then go to save report. Okay, and as I did before, once you have the saved report, you can load it back through the playback report file. And for now, that's what I recommend you using. If you just want to have kind of some scratch inputs recorded and you don't really care about saving them to a file, you won't be needing them, you just want to have them loop back over and over again, that's what the playback my inputs is for. But if you use that, just remember you cannot then save those inputs out to a file. Okay, so I think that pretty much about covers it. Again, I think we can do a lot with the data that's recorded now. So because what we can measure, we can improve a lot easier. And once you put a number to something, it's becomes a lot more clear and easier to improve. And we can make a graph. Month to month, if you're trying to say if you're trying to learn how to do a fireball or dragon punch, you can improve and see something along a graph. If you're trying to get down a combo, you can measure consistent and consistent timing for each of the moves in there as well. So anyway, I hope this is useful, and leave the comments. Let me know what you think. Comments. Let me